a militant group called Hamas attacked Israel, the state of Israel, and according to the media, they killed about 1,000 people, maybe more. Some media say it's 1,200, some say it's 1,400. This group is a Palestinian resistance group that many countries, of course, call them a terrorist group. Now, what do we know about Hamas? That's the question. What do we know about Hamas? In Arabic, Hamas is Harakat al-Mukawama al-Islamiyya, which means the Islamic resistance movement. According to Fatah, so they could continue to do Israel's bidding. How in the world does that group turn against you and end up killing so many of your people? Slaughtering. I watched some of the videos, Ackman, gruesome killing. They were not playing games. Ackman, when they landed in Israel, some of them, they arrived in those paragliders, some of them in motorcycles. About 1,500 of them swarm Israeli towns, killing everything that creeps. Children, women, it doesn't matter. Even a guy, he pretended to die, and after pretending to die, the Hamas fighters run, but he ended up sticking his head out, and one of them see him, he kill him. Perhaps he should have just stayed there, but he cannot move, and the Hamas fighters saw it and just finished him off. Brutal killings. And now in return, what is happening, Israel is essentially wiping Gaza off the map. Obliteration, leveling the place. There was a war between Israel and Hezbollah that they fought for about a month. Israel has launched more bombs in 6 days than they did during that war. In a small little enclave that is so small, it's probably smaller than Pompano Beach. Now, don't take my word from me. Don't take my word. I'm going to have you read this article from The Intercept about Hamas. If you can read it for me. I'm going to bring it up. Is the switcher up? Not you. Do you see something you call intercept? I see. All right, I don't know if you guys can see this. Minister, go ahead.
All right, this is an article called The Intercept. This is an article from The Intercept written by Mahdi Hassan and Dinashe Hamed and published February 19, 2019.
Read.
But did you also know that Hamas, which is an Arabic acronym for Islamic Resistance Movement, would probably not exist today were it not for the Jewish state? That the Israelis helped turn a bunch of French Palestinian Islamists in the late 1970s into one of the world's most notorious militant groups, that Hamas is blowback.
So essentially, is Hamas a blowback, right? You bring a bunch of French groups together, you funded them, and now they turned against you. Read.
Says this is a conspiracy theory. Listen to former Israeli officials such as
Brigadier General,
whatever his name is, who was the Israeli military governor in Gaza in the early 1980s.
His name is Brigadier General Yitzhak Segev.
Segev later told a New York Times reported that he had helped finance the Palestinian Islamist movement as a counterweight to the secularists and go up.
Leftists.
Go up.
Oh.
Oh. and leftists of the Palestine Liberation Organization and the Fatah Party, led by Yasser Arafat, who referred himself to Hamas as a creature of Israel. The Israeli government gave me...
Let's pause here for a second, right? Now, this brigadier general made some serious statements. And he made those statements to the New York Times a long time ago. Not my word. He was the governor of Gaza when Gaza was under occupation. And he said that his own country had given him substantial amount in order to do this, to fund and organize and formalize this group, just to be a counterweight against Fatah, which again at the time was led by Yasser Arafat. Read.
The Israeli government gave me a budget. The retired brigadier general confessed, and the military government gives to the mosque. Hamas, to my great regret, is Israel creation.
Not my word, but the word of the Israeli brigadier general. He says, Hamas, to my great regret, is Israel's creation. Read.
Avner Cohen, a former Israeli religious affairs official who worked in Gaza for more than 2 decades, told the Wall Street Journal in 2009, back in the mid-1980s, Cohen even wrote an official report to his superiors, warning them not to play divide and rule and not to play divide and rule in the occupied territories by backing Palestinian Islamists against Palestinian secularists.
So it's again, to make it simple, Avner Cohen was like, don't try to play that divide and conquer thing by saying, I'm going to create 2 groups and have them fight. That only worked for Negroes. Sadly, they only do that and have us fight each other, and it works. But over there, both of them turned against them. They created Hamas to counter Fatah, and the guy warned them, his name is Avner Cohen, he's like, don't try to do that, because ultimately this thing can turn against you. And it did. Nowadays, Hamas has become far worse than it has ever been. Read.
All right, so just focusing our effort on finding ways to break up this monster before this reality jumps in our face, he wrote. They didn't listen to him, and Hamas, as I explained in the 5th installment of my short film series for the Intercept on Blowback, was the result. To be clear, first, the Israelis helped build up a militant strain of Palestinian political Islam.
Read.
In the form of Hamas and its Muslim Brotherhood precursors. Then the Israelis switched back and tried to bomb, besiege, and block it.
So just imagine for a second. You create a group, you finance it, you formalize it just to attack another group. That group has become so powerful, now you're trying to bomb it out of existence. Think about it for a second, all right? And Avner Cohen had warned them. Avner Cohen had told them this could happen. Avner Cohen had told them, let's focus on destroying that group before it gets too worse. And it has already gotten worse. Read.
Then the Israelis switched back and tried to bomb, besiege, and block it out of existence.
Come on. So now that we know what Hamas is, some call it a terrorist group. Palestinians call it a resistance movement. But I'm going to tell you something. In America, when the United States was fighting for independence, the British Marines, who were called the Redcoats, they were called terrorists. They were called savages, right? The same thing. In the United States, the Patriots were the resistance fighters, but the British were calling them the terrorists. It's the same thing. While the whole world is calling Hamas terrorists, the Palestinians is seeing them as freedom fighters. But again, The crazy thing is how the government that's fighting against Hamas participated in creating Hamas. Now it's going to get even better. So now that we know what Hamas is, we also do know that Hamas say they are Palestinians, and the people in Gaza right now, they call themselves Palestinians. But we need to hear what the Bible say. Are they really Palestinians? Who are the Palestinians according to the Bible? Let's get the book of Genesis chapter 19, verse 18. Genesis chapter 19, verse 18.
The book of Genesis chapter 19 and verse 18. Genesis 19.
Give that brother a Bible for me. You have a Bible? I kind of see you dozing off a little bit. Genesis chapter 9, verse 9. Genesis chapter 9, verse 19. Selaka.
Genesis 9 and verse 19.
You can start on 18. Genesis chapter 9, verse 18. We start on 18.
The book of Genesis chapter 9 and verse 18.
Read.
It says, and the sons of Noah that went forth on the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
How many sons Noah had? What are their names? Good. Continue.
And Ham is the father of Canaan.
Read.
These are the three sons of Noah. And of them was the whole earth overspread.
So after the flood, if someone was alive, or if someone is alive today, he's most likely, or he is a descendant of Noah, and he comes from one of those three. Either Ham, either Shem, or either Japheth. One of those three. And we're going to go in depth on history, things you've never heard before from any camp. You've never heard those things. Like, the history we're going to be breaking down is things you've never heard before. Guarantee. Read.
And Noah began to be an husbandman, and he planted a vineyard, and to drink of the wine, and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his two brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment, and laid it upon both their shoulders, and went backward, and covered the nakedness of their father. And their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness.
So Noah was drunk. His two sons, his first son, Canaan, his first son, Ham, decided to call the other brothers to come see his father naked. And the two other sons, Shem and Japheth, instead, they walked backward and covered their father, which is a very respectful thing to do. But Ham didn't do that. Read.
And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren.
Read.
And he said, blessed be the Lord, the power of shame, and Canaan shall be his servant.
So now this is where a lot of Edomites, white people, used to push that false doctrine saying all black people are cursed. That is not a fact. Only Canaan was cursed. And not because Canaan himself has sinned, but because his father, Ham, had sinned. Why not curse Ham? Why curse his son? Because if you curse Ham, all his other sons would be cursed as well. So you might as well just curse his firstborn. And that's it. So now, that's also something that they've been lying for a long time, and we had to squash that. Not all black people are cursed. Ham is the father of all the dark races, but not the Negroes. So we're not even Hamites. Okay? Ham is the father of all the dark races, not the Negroes. And Ham had 4 sons, only one of them was cursed. So not all black people are cursed. Trust me, there's some people in Africa right now that has a lot of money. They're even richer than you. Okay? Read. Verse 25.
Verse 25. And he said, cursed be Canaan, the servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, blessed be the Lord God of Shem, And Canaan shall be his servant.
Read.
The Most High shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tent of Shem. And Canaan shall be his servant. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years.
Read.
And all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died.
Continue.
Chapter 10, the book of Genesis, chapter 10 and verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Who are the sons of Noah again? Read.
And unto them were sons born after the flood. Japheth descendants, the sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Gog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodadim.
Read.
By these were the isles of the Gentiles,
We're going to break those down. Read.
divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families and their nations. Ham's descendants, the sons of Ham, Cush, and
Pause. We're going to talk about the sons of Ham. Remember, Noah had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Now let's talk about the sons of Ham. Who are the sons of Ham? Read.
Ham's descendant. And the sons of Ham, Cush, and
Mizraim,
and Puth, and Canaan.
and Canaan. So Cush is the father of the Ethiopians and the Eritreans and some Somalians. Mizraim is the father of the Egyptians, going from Lower Egypt all the way to Upper Egypt, which includes Sudan and Kenya. Pay attention. You also have Phut, which is the father of the modern day Libyans and the people in Morocco and all eastern Libya. And you have Canaan, who used to live in the land of Israel. We kicked them out, and now they inhabit in lower Africa and the southern coast, such as South Africa and Zimbabwe, which is why Zimbabwe has always been poor for a lifetime. Read verse 7.
Verse 7.
Read fast.
And the sons of Cush, Sabah, Havilah, Sabta, Rahama, Sabtaka, and the sons of Rahama, Sheba, and Dedan.
Read.
And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth.
Who is Cush? Okay, it's a question for my readers. Who is Cush? See, you guys weren't paying attention. He's the son of Ham, but today, who are the Cushites? Ethiopians. Read.
Right.
Verse 8.
So, and Cush begot Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one in the earth.
Read.
And he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore, it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of the kingdom was Babel, and Iraq, and Akkad, and Calneh, and the land of Shinar.
Can anybody tell me where Babel is? Babel. Babel nowadays would be located in Mesopotamia and Iraq. A black man from Ethiopia, a black man of Ethiopian origin, founded the city of Babel. Not only did he found the city of Babel, he also founded Erech, Akkad, and Calneh. A black man from Ethiopia. So essentially, those people in Iraq who are so proud of their culture all go back to black men. They never taught you that in church, did they? And it gets even better.
And Resen between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city. And Mizraim begat Ludim, Anamim, Lehabim, Naphtuhim, and Pathrusim, and
I think you skip 11.
No, verse 11. It says, out of that land went forth Asher.
Which out of which land?
He got
The land of Shinar.
Shinar.
Read.
And builded Nineveh and the city of Rehoboth and Calah.
So even the city of Nineveh was also all because of this black guy, whose name was Nimrod. Read.
Verse 12. And reason between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city. And Mizraim,
And Mizraim, who is Mizraim? Modern day, today, who is Mizraim? The Egyptians, Sudanese, and the Kenyans. Read. And when I say Sudanese, I'm talking about South and Sudan, both. Read.
and Mizraim begat Ludim,
Ludim,
and Ananim,
Anamim,
and Lehabim,
Lehabim,
Naphtuhim,
Naphtuhim,
and Patrusim,
Patrusim,
Kalusim,
Kalusim. So all of those come from Mizraim. Read.
out of whom came Philistine.
So where do the Palestinians come from? The Palestinians come from the Egyptians. The Philistine, they come from the Casluhim, and the Casluhim come from Mizraim, and Mizraim is Egypt. Now, do I even have to prove that the Egyptians were black? Would anybody dispute that the Egyptians were black? Mr. Yeshua made a good point. He said the white men would. All right, so now that we know the Palestinians come from Mizraim, and we also know that Mizraim is Egypt, not today's Egypt, obviously, and that Egypt back in the days was a black country, we have to prove it. Don't take my word for it. There's a guy, his name was Constantin François de Chasseboeuf. He was a French philosopher. Some people also know him as Volney. This is what he said. A white man, this is what he said. The Sphinx gave him the key to the riddle as to why all the Egyptians he saw across the country have a bloated face, puffed up eyes, flat nose, and thick lips. In a word, the true face of a mulatto. He wrote he was tempted to attribute it to the climate, but upon visiting the Sphinx, when he went to Egypt, he looked at the Sphinx. The Sphinx is like that big head thing, and the rear is like a dog or animal. Its appearance gave him the answer. Seeing that the head typically Negro in all its features, Volney saw as it the true solution to enigma how the modern Egyptian came to have their mulatto appearance. He goes on to say that the Copts, Egyptians, were true Negroes. That's not me saying it, that's a white man. Two cases. He said the Egyptians, they look Negroes. They are black. And he also said true Negroes of the same stock as all the autochthonous people of Africa, and after certain centuries of mixing, must have lost the full blackness of its original color. He is on point. When the French got there, the Egyptians had already mixed up a lot, the original Egyptians. And believe it or not, the remnant of the true Egyptians who are black and dark as hell, you don't see them on TV. The same thing when you go to India, you see almost all of the Indians are so almost like white people, but in reality, if you go to India, some of the Indians are almost darker than you. They just have straight hair.
Oh, actually, during my undergrad, because we were at an engineering building, like at FIU. So if you see the real Indians, trust me, like they even darker than I.
Dark.
So and I graduated, like some of them came to do PhD, masters and stuff like that. All of them look darker than I, more than I.
They are from India or from Bangladesh. They are super dark, right? But again, when you watch TV, what do you see? You see an Indian that's almost look like a white woman. It's the same thing in America. When you watch American superhero movies that went to war in Iraq and Afghanistan, do you ever see a black guy? It's always like a white guy, like the American sniper. Who do you think is in the front line? There's a guy, Israeli guy. He wrote online. He's like, when he went to the military, he joined the U.S. military. Almost all of the front line was made up of Haitians, Jamaicans, Cubans, and Latinos. They are in the front line. They are the cannon fathers that get slaughtered. But then all the hero movies, it's never no black person. Tell me, how many black American hero movies you see? Like, that was fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq. Have you seen one? Have you seen one, sister? Anybody? Nope. So they portray the best of the best as Esau, right? They always put a white guy or a white woman, but you is like, we don't count that, right? They don't care about you. It's the same thing all over the world. Egypt, they're always showing you someone that look white, but in reality, if you go to the most remote parts of Egypt, that's where you're going to start seeing the true Egyptian. So there's no doubt that the Egyptians are black. Does anybody have the Zondervan Bible Dictionary? If you have the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, please get a ham for me right quick. Thank you. Can you read ham for me?
The word Ham is the youngest sons of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood. And one of the 8 persons who lived through the flood, he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes.
So Ham became the progenitor of the dark races, but not the Negroes. So Ham became the father of all of the dark races, not the Negroes. Us, descendants of the slaves, we are the Negroes, we are the Shemites. We're not from Ham. But then if Ham became the father of the dark races, and we know Ham was the father of the Cushites, of Mizraim, and of Phut, and also of Canaan, then of course the Egyptians were black, and of course the Palestinians were black, because the Palestinians came from Mizraim, the Palestinians came from the Egyptians. That's in the Bible. There is no disputing these facts. The true Palestinians are supposed to be black. So who's in the land nowadays? Who's in the land today? Now, I know some of you will be looking at the Egyptians and say, why are they not black? The true Egyptians, who are supposed to be black, they started to lose their features even way before the French arrived. The European invasions and the Arab invasions have conquered. In fact, if you guys don't know, Egypt was a central location for Greek domination. Some of the greatest Greek empires some of the greatest locations was in Egypt. For example, Alexandria. They had a huge library in Alexandria. Not only that, the Romans also conquered Egypt under Octavian in 30 BC. Not only that, the Umayyad Caliphate, the Rashidun Caliphate, the Fatimid Caliphate, those are all Arab caliphates. They had Egypt under occupation. So Egypt had long been under foreign occupation for almost 300 years. Well, that was back in the days. But from there to today is like 2,000 years.
So that's why.
So the true Egyptians are no more. Right. You don't see them.
When you're looking at TV, they show you that the Egyptians are white. You see them white, bald head, and all that. The true Egyptians were never white. Were never, Caucasians. None of that.
And you know what's interesting? We have to do so much research. We have to research so many things to prove something that is extremely simple. And you know why we have to do it? Because our people only trust Esau. Our people only believe Esau. I remember I argued with a guy. He called himself a pastor. I was arguing with him. He's saying, nah, the Egyptians were not black. Who told you that? Who told you the Egyptians were not black? Is it because you watch TV? Is it because you see a couple of pictures they put out? Have you ever seen the Sphinx? Did you know that the French army ordered the destruction of one of the Sphinx's nose during the Battle of the Pyramids because it looked too much like a Negro? Right? And we are stating historical facts, but them running their mouth, they have no evidence, no proof. So now that we know a thing or two about Egypt, let's talk about Gaza just a little bit. First thing first, Gaza is not Palestinian territory according to the Bible. Gaza was Canaanite territory, which was inhabited by the Anakims, and the Most High gave Abraham and his descendants, the Israelites, the entire land of Canaan as an inheritance. Let's read in the book of Genesis chapter 10, verse 19. Genesis 10, verse 19.
The book of Genesis chapter 10 and verse 19.
Read.
It says, and the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, and as thou comest to Gerar unto Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah and Zeboim, even unto Lasha.
Read.
These are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, and their countries, and their nation.
And their nation. So in the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon as thou comest to Gerar unto Gaza. Right? So now, like I say, to be clear, Gaza is not Palestinian. But I want to kind of look into the history of Gaza a little bit. So let me kind of give you the historical background of Gaza and perhaps modern-day Palestine as well, so you kind of understand what's going on. Simple. 332 BCE, the Greeks, under Alexander the Great, they besieged and captured Gaza. They killed almost all of their population. If they kill the populations, what do you think they're going to do after that? They have to resettle the place. They have to bring people from other places and put them there. What they did, they had brought up a group of people called the Bedouins. The Bedouins are dark, probably darker than me. They are extremely dark. The Bedouins are black people, and you know what they are? They are black Arabs. Don't take my word for it. I got to show you. This is the Bedouin leader of the Bedouin community in Israel. His name is Sheikh Ahid. Bedouin community in Jericho, Israel today. What color is he? Black. The Bedouins have always been black. They are dark-skinned people. So when the Greeks, they kill all the Palestinians who were black, obviously, they bring another group of black people called the Bedouins to resettle the place. So the original Palestinians have all been slaughtered. Most of them were slaughtered, and they were replaced by the Bedouins. Since 332 to 96 BCE, Gaza was inhabited, was in the hands of the Greeks, because the Greeks, they had conquered it, and again, they put the Bedouins there. So starting with Alexander the Great to the Seleucid Greeks of Syria and Ptolemaic Greek of Egypt, all until the Israelites conquered it under the Hasmonean kingdom in 96 BCE, this entire strip of land was under Greek occupation. We, the Israelites, we fought against the Greeks. If you remember the book of Maccabees, this is why you guys have to pay attention to the stories. In fact, give me Maccabees 13, verse 43. This is why it's necessary to pay attention to the stories. We defeated the Greeks, we beat them, and we took Gaza from them temporarily. And you're going to also see what we did with that land. Read. 13, 48.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 13, verse 43 to 48.
Read.
In those days, Simon camped against Gaza and besieged it round about. He made also an engine of war and set it by the city and battered a certain tower and took it. And they that were in the engine leaped into the city, whereupon there was a great uproar in the city. And so much as the people of the city rent their clothes and and climbed upon the walls with their wives and children and cried with a loud voice, beseeching Simon to grant them peace.
So during the time of Simon, he camped against Gaza and essentially surrounded it. And the people themselves were the ones begging for peace because it was very difficult. Again, all from 332 BC, Gaza was under Greek occupation. That's almost 200 something years until the Israelites came and took that land under control. With Simon, of course, being leading the camp. Verse 46.
Verse 46. And they said, deal not with us according to our wickedness, but according to thy mercy. So Simon was appeased towards them and fought no more against them, but put them out of the city and cleansed the houses wherein the idols were, and so entered into it with songs and thanksgiving.
So Simon kicked out the population of Gaza who were Bedouins mixed with Greeks, mixed with a bunch of other groups of people. Kick them out and bring some righteous people there. Who do you think those righteous people were? Some Israelites were brought. Not a lot, but some. Read.
Yea, he put all the uncleanness out of it and placed such men there as would keep the law and made it stronger than it was before, and built therein a dwelling place for himself.
And built therein a dwelling place for himself. So again, from 332 BC to 96 BC, which is about 236 years, this entire land was inhabited by Arab Bedouins. But then we took over the land around 96 something BC. Later on, around 64 BC, you have the Romans that came in. When the Romans came, under Emperor Pompey of Magnus, he rebuilt the whole place. And who do you think he put there? He put the Greeks, he put the Romans, he put Egyptians, and he put Persians, he put Nabateans. He also put, well, there was a few Israelites that were still left there. So essentially that place, Gaza, was inhabited by a bunch of people that were not real Palestinians. Greeks, Persians, Nabateans, all different groups, including some Israelites, of course. They are not real Palestinians. Now, later on, in the year of 637 BC, Muslim general Amir ibn al-Ais conquered Gaza and forced all of them to convert to Islam. He forced all of them to become Muslim. And in the year of 1100, the Crusaders, who are the Crusaders? Does anybody know what was the religion of the Crusaders? They were Christians. The Crusaders, during the Third Crusade, they took Gaza from the Muslim Fatimid Caliphate, but they themselves, the Crusaders, they were defeated later on by the Muslim leader Salah ad-Din. I'm giving you the true history of Gaza. From 1200 to 1300, the Mamluk took control of Gaza. In short, the history of the Mamluks were original white slaves from Turkey. Now, they were known to be extremely brutal and savage. So much so, even nowadays in Haiti, people always say, this guy is Maluk. You ever heard that? If you guys Haitians, me say Maluk en Louis, that means this guy is Mamluk, meaning he's savage. The term Mamluk is attributed to a white slave who was savage. And the Egyptians, at the time, they brought the Mamluk, those white people, to help them fight. And they turned out to be very savage, and they would go around conquering places and just killing. But all of them were white people from Turkey. So now, the last part of the history of Gaza, I'm going to tell you, is Gaza was then passed on to the hands of the Turk under the Ottoman Empire, and Gaza became wealthy. But from there, in 1917, Gaza was captured by British forces and later on was handed to the Egyptians. But during a war that was fought, it's called the 6-Day War. That war was fought in 1967. It was between Israel and a bunch of Arab countries. Israel conquered Gaza, and Gaza was under occupation. The occupation ended in September 12, 2005, and there was supposed to be peace in Gaza. But in reality, after the occupation, this is what the Israelis do. Gaza is a small little enclave, okay? To the north is Israel. Pay attention. To the north is Israel. To the south is Egypt. To the west is the sea. And to the east is Israel.
I believe all this land was for Judah, the tribe of Judah.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Now, north, Israel, Ashkelon, close to Ashkelon, I think is the main town on the north side. North is Israel. South is Egypt. West is the Mediterranean Sea. And to the east is also Israel. So Gaza is surrounded in all sides and has a population of 2 million people that have no passport. They can go anywhere. Imagine you are effectively in prison. There's nowhere to go. You want to go to Egypt? Egypt say, you don't have a passport. You can't come. You want to go to Israel? Israel say, well, nah, that's not going to happen. So for them to get a good job, the Israelis have to allow them to. This place is, the water comes from Israel, the electricity comes from Israel. Even when aid, international aid is sent to Gaza, they decide to give it or not. It's been under occupation. Even after the Israelis left in 2005, Gaza was still under not only Israeli occupation, but quite, to be honest with you, it's oppression.
So you said over 2 million people.
2 million people
population
in Gaza. Yes.
Like that. So you expect not them to retaliate against you. Where you put them in prison like that.
All you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is read the media. If you read the media, they'll tell you Gaza is the biggest world prison. It's the biggest world prison. It's a prison. It's a prison. That's what it is. People can't go anywhere. So now that you guys understand, you have an idea of what Gaza is and what Palestine is. We know the true Palestinians were descendants of Egypt. We know the people of Gaza are not in Gaza anymore. They were all kicked out. They were slaughtered, and other people were brought in. And those people that are living right now in Gaza, they are most likely children of Edom and the children of the Arabs. They are not the real Palestinians. All of this, we prove it with the Bible and also with historical facts. Now, the next question I want to ask you guys, to make it quick, is who are the Jewish people? Let's read, you guys heard of the so-called Jewish people, right? Who are they? Genesis 10, verse 1 to 5. Read.
The book of Genesis 10, verse 1 to 5. It says, now these are the generations of the sons of Noah. Shem, Ham, Japheth.
Read.
Shem, Ham, Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. Japheth, the sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog and Madai and Javan and Tubal, Meshech and Tiras.
Let's pause for a second. Who are the sons of Noah? We already talked about Ham, didn't we? Let's talk about Japheth. Who are the sons of Japheth? Read.
The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog,
father of the Celtics from Galatia. Read.
Madai.
Magog is the Rus of Kiev in Russia. Read. Madai in Javan is basically Greece. Read.
Tubal,
Meshech,
Tiras.
Tubal, however you want to say it, in Meshech, they are possibly the fathers of the Georgians and the Armenians. Read.
And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz.
Tiras.
I already read that. Tiras.
And is possibly Bulgaria. Read verse 3.
Verse 3. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz.
Gomer, Ashkenaz. One of the sons, pay attention to that name. Very important. One of the sons of Gomer is Ashkenaz. Read.
And Riphath.
Ashkenaz is highly likely the father of the Germans. Read.
Rephath,
Rephath is the father of the Paphlagonians of Turkey.
and Togarmah.
Togarmah, the Phrygians also of Turkey.
You have the sons of Javan,
Read.
Elisha, and Tarshish,
Tarshish,
Kittim,
Kittim,
and Dodanim.
Dodanim.
By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families and their nations.
So now, if you look at verse 5, did it not say that those were Gentiles? You guys saw it, right? So now, go back to verse 3. Read the first part right quick.
Verse 3, and the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Rephath, and Togarmah.
So now, let's pause for a second. It says the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz. If those are Gentiles, why is it those people in Israel right now calling themselves Ashkenazi Jews? I need to try to get, can you try to get on the app right quick so I can see if people are putting comments? Those people, 60% of the population of Israel at its founding, when Israel was founded as a country, 60% of the population say they were Ashkenazi Jews. Here in the Bible, it says that Gomer was the father of Ashkenaz, and Ashkenaz is the Germans. Now, I read some books. This is what they say. They say, well, we saying Ashkenazi Jews because we came from Germany. I mean, yes, you do come from Germany, but how did you get there? How did you get there? You need to be able to trace yourself from the Holy Land to Germany. But I have something different, and I'm going to prove to you how they get to Germany. Now, first of all, in the Bible, there was no mention of Ashkenazi Jews. You're not going to find that anywhere. But we know there was a guy, of course, whose name was Ashkenaz, and that we know that the Germans came from Ashkenaz. According to Ashkenazi Jews, they call themselves Ashkenazi Jews because they came from Germany. But again, how did they get into Germany in the first place? There is no trace of them leaving Israel to go to Germany. Don't take my word for it. Even their own scholars, such as Shlomo Sand, say that they cannot do it. They are unable to do it. They cannot trace themselves from the Holy Land to Germany. Now, I have something different. And there is overwhelming evidence that the Jews from Khazaria left after the fall of Atil, which was the capital of Khazaria, and they went to Germany. What is Khazaria? Khazaria was a country. That country was huge, was known for commerce, was known for trade, was known for business. Is it surprising those Jews in Israel love business and love commerce and love trading? Khazaria was known for that. But here's what's interesting. When Khazaria fell, a lot of the people, they were dispersed throughout Europe. Khazaria was forced to convert to Judaism because they were pressed on both sides. They were pressed by Muslim caliphate on one side and by the Byzantine Empire, which of course was Christian, on the other side. And if they choose to align with the Muslims, then they're going to be in trouble with the Christians. And if they choose to be aligned with the Christians, then they'll be in trouble with the Muslims. So they ended up saying, well, why don't we just convert to Judaism? And they start calling themselves Jews. So the Bible is on point when it says there are a group of people that say they are Jews, but are not. They say they are Jews, but are not. Let's read something. We're going to read something right quick. If you can go here, find that file called Yivo Encyclopedia. You can close this right quick. You can close this. Yivo. You can take, yeah, you can click on that one. Khazaria conversion. Yeah, read it. Let's get into the history of how they themselves became Jews. Read fast.
It says from about 650 to the late 670s, the Khazars subjugated or drove off the Bulgar tribes in the Black Sea steppes. At the same time, they became involved in a protracted war with the Muslim Caliphate for control of Caucasia. In 737, Marwan, the Umayyad general and later the last Umayyad Caliph, 744 to 750, staged a surprise raid and captured the Khazar Khagan, the Khazar Khagan, who was obliged to convert to Islam.
So the leader of Khazar at the time was obliged to convert to Islam. Read.
This conversion was short-lived, however, as the Muslims were unable to maintain a military presence on the lower Volga.
So if you guys don't know how it was back in the days, it was, I captured this territory, force you to convert to Islam. If not, I just obliterate everything. Or the Christians would be like, become Christians or I kill everybody. So again, you will see this is why Khazaria had to convert to Judaism. Read.
Right. So,
the wars.
The wars with the Caliphate, which won in the latter half of the 8th century, and an intent with Byzantium, reinforced by martial ties against their common foe. The Muslim brought the religious question to the fore. The Khazar ruling elite, opting in all likelihood for a recognized monotheistic religion that would not entail subordination to the Arabian Caliph of Byzantine Empire.
So they were in a tough situation, and what they had to do is either choose to fall under the hands of the Arabian Caliph or the Byzantine Emperor. It's your choice, but they choose. They say, well, why don't we find another religion, monotheistic, that's acceptable to both? And they say, well, let's just convert to Judaism. And they converted to Judaism. Read, go down where it says clearly. You can scroll up. Clearly. Clearly by this time.
Clearly by this time, Judaism had begun to take on the trappings of a state religion, or at the least was part of a profile that the Khazar presented to the world. Only members of the ruling clan who profess Judaism could become Khagans.
What modern day Jewish people would tell you, or people in Israel would tell you, they would say, well, it was just a few people in Khazaria that converted. It was not the whole thing. No, for about 2 centuries of the Judaism spreading, it had already grown into a state religion. And you're going to see, somebody's going to talk about a Muslim guy. Read the expansion.
Right. The expansion of Judaization is reflected in Muslim sources. While some Muslim sources noted that Judaism was largely limited to the ruling elite, Ibn Fakhlan, who was in the Khazar vassal state of Volga, Bulgaria, 1921-1922, says that the Khazars and their king are all Jews.
What did he say?
The Khazar, all the Khazar are Jews.
Ibn Fakhlan say all the Khazars are Jews. Read.
But they have been Judaized.
They have been Judaized
recently.
Meaning they become Jews. They converted to become Jews. And it wasn't, at first they were saying, well, maybe it's just the ruling elite. No, but Muslim writers were saying, no, they are all Judaized. They all become Jews. Read.
Recently, the Khazar Hebrew correspondence of the mid-10th century, an exchange of letters between the Khazar ruler Joseph and the Jewish courtier of the Spanish Umayyads Asdai.
It's Hasdai ibn Saprut.
Asdai ibn Sahrut, whatever that
Read.
is. And the letter of an unknown Khazar Jew, probably from the same era, but preserved only in the 20th century copy from the Cairo Genizah.
So here's the thing. They started calling them, instead of just saying Jews, they started calling them Khazar Jews, because there were Jews that came from Khazaria. Now, I feel bad because this lesson is taking some time. We're almost finished. I have to show you those things so you guys know. Okay? It's very important. So now, this is how they became Jews. They converted to become Jews during the 8th century. When Khazaria's capital, Atil, was destroyed by Sviatoslav in 1960, a lot of the people, when the capital was destroyed, essentially the state, Khazaria, as an empire, collapsed. When that happened, some stayed in Russia, and the rest migrated to Germany. And Germany, again, is Ashkenaz. They left where they came from, which is Khazaria, and they go to Germany and started calling themselves the Jews of Ashkenaz, Ashkenazi Jews. Are you still with me? So there is no connection of them from the Holy Land to Germany. But there's connection of them from Khazaria to Germany. Okay? Not only that, some stayed in Russia, where the capital of Khazaria was, which was Atil. The rest of them migrated to Germany, Poland, Bohemia, which is modern-day Czechoslovakia, and also other places in Europe. Let me show you the map right quick. Can you go here? The first one, Khazaria. No, Khazaria. Right here. Click. So let's zoom a little bit. Zoom. If you look at up there, you'll see Minsk. Minsk is the capital of Belarus, a country that exists today. Where it says Q is actually Kiev. Where is Kiev? Kiev is in Ukraine. This is why you guys have to pay attention to what's going on. Because right now, those wars that are starting right now is actually attacking the bastion of Khazaria. You see how this thing started in Ukraine and now it's moving to Israel? Almost as if that thing is chasing them wherever they go. And even you have countries like Egypt, they start beefing up their military troops. Hezbollah and Lebanon are preparing for battle. The foreign minister of Iran went to Beirut and said Israel is probably going to have to deal with an earthquake, meaning some kind of major battle in all sides. Because the core of Khazaria is being tested right now. Even though Khazaria no longer exists, but the people of Khazaria are still in existence, don't they? Yep. Now, scroll down a little bit. Can I get that? Here, this is where the main battles are currently taking place. This right here, you have the Crimea, where Russia is currently fighting for the Crimea, trying to take over Crimea. But again, Crimea was its major city in Khazaria. This is how they used to call it. Reich der Khazarin. Right here. Reich der Khazarin, meaning the empire of Khazaria. It was an empire and it was huge. As you can see, it comprises of a part of Russia, a part of Ukraine, even a part of Belarus. All of those were Khazaria. So when Khazaria collapsed, the capital, which was right around here and close to Russia, when it collapsed, they moved to that direction here towards Germany. This is Poland. This is Czechoslovakia. Right behind Czechoslovakia is Germany, which is called Ashkenaz. That's how they become to be known as the Ashkenazi Jews, because they moved from Khazaria after the fall of Khazaria to go to Germany. We can trace that. We have the historical proofs. Now let me show you this. Let me show you another one. Here's another one right here. So that's why I showed you in the other picture, Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, Khazaria, mainly based in the surrounding area, they move from there and go all the way to Germany, which is Ashkenaz. This is Poland, this is Belarus, this is Ukraine, and this is Germany. And they start calling themselves Ashkenazi Jews. Did you know before they built the state of Israel, they considered establishing the country in Uganda? How many of you knew that? What's going on? Sit down, guys. They considered creating a state in Uganda in Africa. Now, so what's really going on in Gaza? To really understand what happened the day Hamas attacked the Khazars in Israel, let's call them Khazar Jews. The Khazar Jews in Israel, the converts, which I'm sure they're not happy about that. But I don't even have to say, their history will tell you, right? The Khazar Jews, when Hamas attacked, I don't want to say Hamas attacked the Jews, but when Hamas attacked the Khazar Jews, there were a couple of things that was going on that you guys may not even be aware of. I want to show you something right quick. It's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to show you. You know, they say pictures is more powerful than words. This is not going to be a picture. It's going to be a video. Watch. Do we have audio out? Watch.
Nearly 3,000.
Let's pause for a second. When the Hamas fighters landed in Israel, it was a Saturday early in the morning. They were partying the whole night. The whole night they were partying. What were we doing on that Saturday? Not only was it Shabbat, but we was closing the Holy Feast of Tabernacle. None of them was keeping Tabernacle. None of them was keeping the Shabbat. But it get even worse. Watch. You're going to love this. Pay attention, because you're going to love this, guys. What do you see here? This is a statue of Buddha in Israel. The statue of Buddha, which in the Bible is known as Milcom, the scriptures call it this disgusting god of the Ammonites. They were essentially worshiping Milcom, Buddha. They were worshiping in the land of Israel when the Hamas terrorists landed. You see the land of Israel? If you're not righteous, no military is going to be able to protect you. That land will swallow you up because it's a melting pot. If you're not doing the righteousness of the Most High, you're going to be wiped off from the land. Not because I hate anybody, but because specifically this land requires a righteous group of people to stay in there. The more wicked you become, the more you're going to suffer those attacks. When you watch the news, they say they were just having fun. There were kids that was having fun. Really? They were having fun, or were they worshiping Buddha? Milcom, the disgusting god of the Ammonites. All right, man, can you give me 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 5? 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 5, right quick. Okay, this is what they were doing the whole time.
Nearly 3,000 people attended the Tribe of Nova festival
only Saturday morning.
Israel on Saturday.
They spent the whole night from Friday to Saturday morning partying, having fun.
It would become one of the
not keeping a
deadliest sites
single
of
law.
Hamas's surprise attack on Israel.
Find many?
Over 250 bodies have been recovered from the festival grounds and surrounding areas.
250 bodies. The Hamas guys, they came, those fighters, they came and slaughtered everybody. If you creep, if you run, you get shot. But why weren't they in a synagogue worshiping? Why weren't they keeping the Feast of Tabernacle? Why were they partying and having fun on the holy Shabbat day? Read that verse for me right quick. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 5.
Book of 1 Kings, chapter 11, verse 5. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonian, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonite.
Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonite. Let me show you an actual picture of Milcom. Let me show you something right quick.
Nearly 3,000 people attended the Tribe of Nova festival.
This is what we call Buddha today, right? You see how it looks? Now watch. Let me see if I can get that picture right quick. This is what it used to look like back in the days. This is the Milcom, the disgusting god of the Ammonites. You see how it looked? Essentially, that same character that's either always staying like this or staying like this, and that would always be meditating. That meditating god, essentially, what it was back in the days. And it was, Buddha is not new. If you guys know the history of China, that story of Buddha has gone way before Christ came on board. So it's not new. And even our people used to follow this way, started worshiping those false gods, right? This is what Buddha is nowadays. You see that? You see that? They were worshiping this, and they had, I think, two of them. They were worshiping the devil. They were worshiping false gods. They were worshiping Milcom, the disgusting god of the Ammonites, on a holy Shabbat, having fun. And what do you think happened? Milcom is going to have your children slaughtered. Milcom and Molech required blood sacrifices. This is why our people used to pass their children to Molech. And if you're going to be worshiping those wicked gods, don't be surprised if they kill your children. Sadly, when Hamas came, they slaughtered a lot of children. But what were they doing in those places on a holy Shabbat? Right? So now, to wrap up, let's get the book of Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 24 right quick. Read. That was 1 Kings 11. 1 Kings 11, verse 5. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 24.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 24.
Read.
For the Lord thy power is a consuming fire, even a jealous power.
Read.
When thou shalt beget children, and children's children, and he shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves, and make a graven image or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of the Lord thy power, to provoke him to anger. I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that he shall soon utterly perish from off the land whereunto he go over Jordan to possess it. He shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed.
This is exactly why we are not in the land of Israel. You know why? Because of our wickedness. This is exactly why we went to slavery, because we would not listen to the word of the Most High. Instead, we chose to follow the god of the heathens. We chose to worship Beelzebub. We chose to follow after Milcom. We chose to follow after Molech. We chose to follow after every single god, a bunch of false gods, but we would not worship the Most High. And the Most High had to uproot us out of the land. This same thing goes for everybody. any group of people, any country, I don't care how powerful your military is, if you go to live in the land of Israel, the land of our in our ancestral homeland, you think you're gonna stay there forever, being wicked, you're making a huge mistake. If I were them, I would tell them to start being righteous. And maybe if they keep the Torah as they say they do, which I don't think they do, but if they go back and start keeping the Torah, they'll start feeling safer. The scripture is clear. When we go back to our homeland, nobody's going to make us afraid anymore. We will never, the word war will not even exist. So clearly, we're not back in our homeland because now they're getting pressed on many sides. And countries are preparing for battle against them. They can keep crying victim, but unfortunately, what goes around comes around. Right? This thing you see that's happening in Israel right now, ladies and gentlemen, is not our fight. It's not our war. And I would advise Hebrew Israelites that's still in some of the Israeli cities like in Dimona, in Mizpeh Ramon, and in Beersheba, get out. Get out. I mean, I was watching a video. I saw a bunch of troops, about 300 of them going to Gaza. A lot of them look like young black men. I'm like, probably Hebrew Israelites in Dimona. Now they have to fight for Israel. This is not your fight. Scriptures say that Israel would be downtrodden of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles is fulfilled. You can read that in Luke chapter 21, verse 17 to 24. You would have Gentiles in the land, Luke 21, chapter 17 to 34. It says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and they shall be led away captive into all nations, which we did, and we haven't been back. And he says, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Gentiles are still in our ancestral homeland, and their time hasn't been fulfilled yet. We have to maintain our peace and wait on the Most High. This is not our battle. This is not our fight. With that, I say all praises to the Most High. By Hashem HaMashiach Yahushai, let's stand and face Jerusalem for final prayer.
Hallelujah. All praises. All praises.
Amadim Lapanim Yerushalayim, stand and face Jerusalem.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Oh, Heavenly Father, the powerful Bahama, Isaac, and Quab, the power who created the universe. As you said in Psalm 37, verse 25, you never let the righteous forsaken. You would never forsake the righteous. Never seen the righteous begging for bread. You would never leave them forsaken. So we praise thy name, Father. And at this time where rumors of war everywhere, we'll ask you to please send your holy angels to protect your elect, to protect us around the four corners of the earth. Because as you know, the enemies, by the sword that they leave, Father, please separate us. As you said, we are special people unto you. Separate us from all their rudiments, from all their chaos, because this is not our fight. This is their fight. That's their own business. So we do not want to mingle in their business. We only know our only business is to serve you and to continue to do that work, O Most High. So please watch over our souls, watch over our life, protect us in this wicked queendom. Keep us safe. Let nothing happen to us. Whereas Israel is scattered abroad, watch over them and continue to awake your people so that way we can go back to you. So it could be our power, and we could be your people once and for all. We praise thy name, Bahashem Mashiach Yahushai, to Wadatamian. Amen. Shabbat Shalom Israel. Shabbat Shalom Yaimun. Barak Hashem Israel. Hallelujah, Hashem Yahweh. Shabbat Shalom Israel. Shabbat Shalom Yaimun. Barak Hashem Israel. Hallelujah Hashem Yahweh. Give the